watched The Bear, and this is what I thought. So let me give you a brief synopsis of the show. So The Bear is a show that actually takes place in Chicago, and our main character is Carmen. A lot of people call him Carmy, but his name is Carmen. And Carmen ends up coming back home to Chicago to run the restaurant that his brother left him after he had passed. So Carmen comes from more of like a technically trained culinary experience. He's worked in very fancy restaurants, but the type of restaurant that his brother left him is more of like a sandwich shop. And so Carmen is trying to run this shop within his knowledge of high dining, and he soon realizes that running this restaurant is going to be a challenge because it's different from what the background he came with for high dining. So with all the changes that he's trying to make and he's implementing, he is met with some resistance by a lot of the employees and people there at the sandwich shop. So that is what the show is basically about, but now we'll be getting into spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about the show, you can leave and come back later. But if you don't really care, let's continue on. So why did I decide to watch this show? Well, I heard everybody talking about this show, and I heard nothing but good things. And also, I asked a friend for a TV show recommendation, and she did mention this one. So I decided, why don't I finally give it a watch? And I kind of see this as listed as a comedy, and so I automatically assumed that it'd be more of a comedy. And yeah, it does have some funny moments, but to me, it was more serious than I thought it would be. And once I realized that, it took me a little while to adjust. But once I did, I really did enjoy the show a bit more. So I watched the first 2 seasons since they were both out on Hulu, and I ended up enjoying the second season a lot more than the first. It took me a little while to get into the first season. It was only near the end of that season when I started to kind of like that first initial season. So in the first season, it's mostly focused on the beef, which is what the sandwich shop is called, and the place is struggling, and Carmen is really trying what he thinks is the best and what he thinks will make the shop better. But everyone does not like the changes he is making, and it creates a lot of tension within this sandwich shop workplace. The employees are really just happy with how things were, and they don't understand why he needs to change everything. Things worked fine before. Why do they need to change, and why can't they go back? As the season progresses, we do see that some of the changes he's implementing are having a positive effect within this shop. Things seem to be going well at different points within the show, but then once they go well, it seems like something goes wrong and they take 3 steps back. But this seems to go on for the entire season until there's like a tipping point. I think the tipping point, at least the very tip where everything just went terribly wrong, was when they kind of implemented this like online ordering service for the shop, and it just wasn't set correctly, or they weren't ready for the crowd that it would bring, and everything that could go wrong did. And this results in some people walking away and quitting and not wanting to be around Carmen, because he did say some very harsh things during the moment of very high stress. And watching this episode when it felt like everything blew up, it was a very stressful episode, and I was feeling for everybody. I felt so bad for everyone and the terrible situation that they were in and how things got so heated in the moment. If you've never seen this show before, I do want to let you know that it does deal with some heavy things, and the one reason Carmen is doing this is because his brother passed, as I had mentioned before, but it was how he passed that is very, very sad, and his brother did decide to take his own life, and no one really knew why. The situation is definitely heartbreaking, and we can see that Carmen is still grieving and dealing with the loss of his brother while trying to run this shop that he left him and is kind of currently failing at because it's not doing well, or as well as he thought it would. And with Carmen dealing with so much, I think it does have an effect on how the shop is doing. There's just a lot of emotions tied in with this entire thing that I think is very hard, or it would be hard for me to separate. And you can still see him just constantly being where his brother worked, where his brother managed, and not really knowing what was going on with his brother. It's really hard to deal with. In the end of season 1, at least, those who had walked away and had quitted, they ended up coming back. Carmen does make amends with them, and in the end we do see that instead of continuing on with the shop, Carmen decides to open a whole new restaurant, and this is a new beginning for everyone. And I think that's a good way to summarize season 2, which is just kind of like going from the old stressful and kind of going to something new for a new beginning. This new restaurant will be more of a high scale restaurant, and also the staff gets more culinary training while the new restaurant is prepping to open. But the building needs a lot of help. They need new everything. and they don't have a lot of time to do it. And this is bringing us into season 2, where we're focusing on the creation and building up and getting everyone ready for this new restaurant. So one thing I really loved about season 2 is that I love seeing how they were investing in themselves and sending all the staff that they had to culinary school or to different restaurants and / kitchens to enhance their skills. And I think I like season 2 more because you get to see everyone's journey and they are all growing together to make this new restaurant the best that it could be. And I think that was something refreshing, just because I would just assume, since the staff was not culinary trained, they would go the route of possibly firing everyone or trying to find a job for them. But the fact that they put time and money into training everyone to get this new restaurant off the ground, I absolutely loved it. And I think it also made these characters feel good about themselves, that these people in charge are willing to invest in them and trust them to go on this journey with them. I love that part so much, and how we got to see each character and what they were going to do and help the restaurant. How Carmen saw a future for the restaurant. So in season 2, there was this Christmas episode, and in this episode, we see more of Carmen's family. We see his mom, and we see how the family interact. And this ends up being a past Christmas. This is not like a current Christmas episode. This is a Christmas we see in the past, because we do see his brother that had passed at this family Christmas as well. This is not your typical big happy family Christmas dinner. There's a lot of tension within the room. There is screaming, there's yelling, there's people trying to calm others down, try to run interference. There's a lot going on in this episode, and tensions are just getting higher and higher. Words are being said, insults are being thrown at each other. Everything is just growing, and there's a point when I feel like their mother can't take it anymore, and she ends up driving a car into the house. It was absolutely crazy. So you can kind of tell the mother's dealing with something, that his brother is dealing with something, that Carmen's dealing with something in their own ways. And it was very sad to see what was going on within the family. And by the end of season 2, the new restaurant is up and running. They have a family and friends night for a run through of the restaurant to test everything. And there were definitely complications, but overall they had a successful night. I loved how we kind of seen characters that had been at odds, characters that weren't really getting along, or some problems that were happening. Kind of during this run through night, they put that aside and they're like, we just need to have a good night. We need to make this go perfectly. And they were trusting each other a lot more. And I loved it. I just loved how they were all in their new positions and they kind of believed in themselves more, held themselves to a higher standard. I just thought it was great. And I love seeing everyone working together, even though when there were complications, were things that were going wrong, they kept their cool behind the scenes and made sure that everyone had a great dinner. Even though it was a run through, there is still a lot of stress on the situation, and I think it was just a great night overall. So as the show progressed, I did have a better time with it, and after watching both seasons, I would give this show as a whole 3.5 stars. I really did enjoy the show, and let me just tell you, it hit me in the emotions sometimes too. I came here thinking it was gonna be comedy, and I was tearing up, feeling so many feelings for these characters. And I know it will have a new season. I'm not sure if I will tune in or not yet for season 3, but we will see. So if you're interested in a new TV show, maybe you should go check out The Bear. I've heard a lot of great things. I enjoyed it. Maybe you will too. You can definitely go check it out on Hulu. You can watch both seasons currently there, and it is coming up a new one, so you can keep a watch for that. If you have seen The Bear, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How did you feel about season 1 versus season 2? And did you get emotional during the show at all either? Let me know. I would love to know. Or was it just me? Feel free to check out any more TV content on my website. I will leave that link below. Feel free to follow me on any of my socials. It is at ATS_MGO on all platforms. And if you like the video or any of my other videos, feel free to like them and subscribe if you wanna. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, week, month, and hopefully a good rest of your year. And until next time, bye.